All right, welcome to Touchdown Talks. I'm Spencer Taylor. This is going to be my reaction to Week 8 of the NFL 2024 season that we just finished off on Monday night. I'm recording this just a few hours after the Steelers' massive win over the New York Jets on Monday Night Football. So when you watch this, be Tuesday, this video will come out, but 8 weeks are complete for the NFL season. We're nearing the midway point, but we've still got a few weeks to go before that. Can't believe how fast this season has gone, and we are through the October schedule for the NFL season this year, outside of the one Thursday night game that we will get on Halloween. But that aside the point, this is going to be my quick reaction to Week 8, mostly focusing on one game in particular. If you've watched my content and you know my favorite team, my preferences, you may be able to tell from back there a little bit. Change of plan right here. As I finished the video and began editing, realized the video got way longer than I intended, so this video will be just my portion of reacting solely to the Bears-Commanders game. So if you want to see my reaction to how that game went, this is the video for you. If you want to see my reaction to the other action from Week 8, mainly from the other Sunday games, as well as Monday Night Football between the Steelers and Giants, the other video, or part 1 for Week 8, that video will be linked here in the description and also in a card on the video at this point. I'll have that there as well. So if you want Week 8, the other games, go to the other video. If you're here for Bears Commanders, stay on the video. And without further ado, let's get on into the rest of the video. Now, for what you've all been waiting for. If you come to hear my rants and raves and celebrations about the team that I'm most passionate about, that being the Chicago Bears, now's the time. Yesterday was certainly a roller coaster, so I'm just going to go through my notes for the game as it went on. In the first quarter, really the first half, I was really impressed with the Bears defense in the first half. Bears offense was getting nothing done. That's mind-blowingly disappointing and frustrating. It seems like the Bears, especially on the offensive side, really were getting some momentum going before the bye week, and with really good offensive head coaches, which unfortunately the Bears don't have that. They have a defensive head coach. The Bears on offense, with offensive head coaches after a bye, usually those offenses are really good, especially early on in their next game after the bye. But the Bears came out and in those first couple drives, first bit of the first quarter where you're usually on scripted plays, Bears could get nothing done on offense. Didn't look like they had any clue. Also had some bad stuff very late in the game on offense, but I'll get into that in a second. But for the Bears defense, they also had their problems later. But in the first half, I was very impressed with the Bears defense. They very much played to the standard of bend but don't break. Commanders have a really great offense. Commanders have a very good offense, of course, with Jaden Daniels at quarterback. He was able to play. It had been questionable with the rib injury he sustained last week, and we did see a little bit of that in the game, but he was able to come in, played really well. The rib stuff didn't seem to bother him all that much at all. They kind of were working on him on the sidelines in between drives, but he played just fine, was able to move around very well, which ended up being a huge part of why they won the game. But for the Bears defense, because of that, I was very impressed with them in the first half. First drive for the Commanders, they allowed the Commanders to get to the red zone, got a stop, forced a field goal. Second drive, same thing. Third drive, same thing. By halftime, the score was Commanders leading 9-0. And again, all that credit goes to the Bears defense. In the second quarter, on offense, some notes. Unfortunately, left tackle Braxton Jones went down with a knee injury, so that certainly affected the Bears' offense, especially in the second quarter, with the backup offensive tackle coming in. The line certainly struggled there for a few drives after that. Kind of got better in the second half, but certainly missed Braxton Jones in there. Also in the second quarter for Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams definitely didn't have the greatest day that you'd want, and certainly with the comparison between first overall pick, second overall pick between him and Jaden Daniels. Jaden won the first match between these two quarterbacks from the same draft class. Jaden Daniels ended with a quarterback rating of 92.7. Caleb Williams 59.5. And yeah, as a Bears fan, I love Caleb Williams, and he made some good plays against the Commanders, but yeah, Caleb Williams didn't have a good game per se. One of his worst games of the season. I don't know that I would say it was his worst game. He threw no interceptions or anything like that, but certainly in the second quarter, there was a sack that he took that wasn't good. Trying to do a lot of the juke moves and trying to get out of a sack, and ended up just resulting in a worse sack where the Bears ended up losing 15 yards, and this was on their final drive of the half, and that sack ended up taking them out of field goal range, and so that was a sack that was very disappointing. Didn't like seeing Caleb Williams take that sack. He should have just, recognized play was over and tried to get rid of the ball so the Bears could have at least gotten 3 points on the board before the half. But then moving on into the second half, Bears defense was still playing really well in the third quarter, continued to get stops. There was another drive early on in in that second half. Commanders drove the length of the field, and the Bears defense stopped them, forced another field goal. Commanders go up 12-0, and at that point I wrote in my notes, if the Bears offense could get anything done, they'd be leading it. Right after I wrote that note, though, just a drive or two later, DeAndre Swift breaks a huge run off, gets a touchdown, and that really broke open the momentum for the Bears in that offense. In response, right after that, the Bears held again, forced a 51-yard field goal attempt by the Commanders, and blocked it. So that put the score at Commanders 12-7. And then after that, there was a drive where Jaden Daniels escaped pressure and really impressed me. Jaden Daniels, if you're a fan or anyone on the opposing side, Jaden Daniels is a very scary quarterback to be going up against. And DeAndre Swift for the Bears really did come alive in that second half and in the fourth quarter. Kept having some pretty good plays. But then in the fourth quarter, Bears offensive play calling, again, some issues. Bears got to the red zone, or got basically to the goal line, and of course the goal line play that a lot of people are questioning, this is the one I'm questioning as well, get right to the goal line, and they decided to hand it off to a backup offensive tackle, I guess trying to do a refrigerator Perry play, but the problem with that is you got to understand, with history, back when Refrigerator Perry was playing for the Bears with those plays, that was a play that the Bears back then actually ran quite a bit. That was not just some gadget play they threw once or twice in an important moment. And for this one, to put the ball in, put the pressure on a backup offensive lineman to to get it in the end zone in a gotta have it moment late in the game. Just really a head scratching move by the coaches for the Bears, and the exchange on that handoff was fumbled, and Washington recovers at their own 4. So just a horrible decision by the Bears offense, and the coaching to pull that trick play out with 6:20 left to go in the game. So that one really cost them. Now, fortunately for the Bears on the other side, though, the defense responded again, didn't allow the Commanders to do anything with that turnover, forced a 3-and-out, and Commanders punted it right back. Bears get the ball back, and they drive the length of the field on a very long drive and get a touchdown. Caleb Williams' pass to Cole Kmet, a rush touchdown. This one to Rashawn Johnson. It seemed like the Bears coaches learned the obvious lesson from the previous drive that, we should give it to our third down back, our downhill running back, Rashawn Johnson, like we should have in the previous drive, and he knocked it in. So if the Bears had just done that on the previous drive, and that's another one of those key moments. But anyways, Bears drive the length of the field, have some good plays, get the touchdown with Rashawn Johnson, and then also get the 2-point conversion attempt completed with the pass from Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet. And that put the Bears up by a score of 15-12. And at that point, the odds of winning the game massively swung into the Bears' favor. Before that, the odds had very much been slowly going the way of the Commanders. I believe by the late third quarter, Next Gen Stats had the Commanders' probability of winning at like 91%. But then, of course, with that comeback in the fourth quarter, the Bears' chances of winning shot all the way up at the highest point to 97%. Before the very last play of the game, the Bears' chances to win the game were 97%. And on the play before that, you had the play before the very final play. This one isn't going to get talked about near as much as the final play. But on the second to last play of the game, the Bears defense makes the just criminal mistake of allowing the Commanders to get a quick out route to the sideline to stop the clock and get a positive 13 yards, making the final play, the final Hail Mary, that much shorter. Again, it was still a huge Hail Mary play at the end that was going to be required, but the Commanders getting that 13 yards on the second to last play was a huge mistake to give up by the Bears defense. And then the final play, Jaden Daniels scrambles around, ended up having close to 12 seconds before he had to throw the ball. Throws the ball, heaves it, it comes down, right around where the crowd of players are at waiting for it. It comes down actually right outside the end zone, just a bit short of it, and gets tipped up, goes back, and the Commanders' waiting receiver, that being Noah Brown, is there. Ball falls right into his hands, 52-yard touchdown, and the Commanders win 18-15. In crazy fashion, I was speechless for like a straight 2 hours. That's honestly part of why this video was not out a day earlier. I was going to do this video a day earlier than what I've done, but last night I just did not feel like making a video. I'll be honest, I just could not bring myself to the idea of even talking about this game. This is certainly that ending play was up there for, as a Bears fan in the years that I've been a fan. That one's certainly in the top 10 of devastating losses that just were lost in insane fashion that you just can't write. There's the double doink. For me, there's the double doink. There's that one, and then the Packers beating the Bears in the final week of the season. It's the Hail Mary play between. Well, it wasn't really even that one wasn't a Hail Mary play, but it was still final play of the game, and that one was Aaron Rodgers to Randall Cobb in Chicago. That game ended up sending the Packers to the playoffs and eliminating the Bears. That one's top one for me as a Bears fan. That one's always gonna stick in my craw. The double doink probably second, being that it was a playoff game, and also that game, losing that to the Eagles. That was the Eagles team with Nick Foles that ended up going on to win the Super Bowl, and that Bears team had one of the best defenses in NFL history. But this game lost to the Commanders. This one's just a regular season game, not the end, not a game for a playoff spot necessarily, although it could very much have implications on the wild card chase, certainly for the Bears. Certainly also helps the Commanders' chances at just straight up winning their division. This play is probably a top 2 or 3 bad beats moment for me as a Bears fan. That one is going to be one that is going to give me flashbacks for years to come. So not very happy about that. And of course, the thing that's getting talked about the most, Tyrique Stevenson for the Bears. He was seen, and I've got the screenshot in the thumbnail. He apologized after the game on X. I've heard he also spoke to the team in front of the team in team meetings today. Obviously, I'm sure it was a rough day of watching film for him. Rightfully so, deservedly so. I know many people have said that the Bears should, sit him for a week or something like that. He's a good player. This is his second year. He is needed on the team, but certainly, honestly, if the Bears coaches found some way to, punish him or put him on notice, I wouldn't blame him, because final play of the game, if you watch the shots of it, that fans got from the stands, Tyrique Stevenson is back there near the end zone, and he is not even paying attention to the play. He's distracted, taunting Commanders fans in the stands, and even after the ball is already snapped, Jaden Daniels is running around for his life, making time, and Tyrique Stevenson is still not even acknowledged the fact that the play is going on. He's taunting Commanders fans. There's Bears fans in the front row pointing at him and saying, "Hey, the play has started. What are you doing?" And then he kind of just very nonchalantly recognizes, runs over to where the big group is, and lo and behold, the player that tipped the ball up, that got it to go back up into the air and give Noah Brown the chance to catch it, it was Tyrique Stevenson. And after the game, I don't know, Matt Eberflus the last couple days in press conferences hasn't helped his case out as well with some of the responses he's been giving. Media's been grilling him for that. To some extent, fairly in my opinion. To some extent, maybe a little bit too harshly, just going off of exactly what he said. But certainly not a good day for the Bears coaching staff and for Matt Eberflus. After the game and today, Matt Eberflus did reveal that the player that was supposed to be the box out guy back there boxing out Noah Brown was supposed to be Tyrique Stevenson. So if Tyrique Stevenson had just paid attention, been where he was supposed to be, instead of celebrating too early, Bears likely would have won that game. He would have boxed out Noah Brown. Who knows? He could have been the hero to actually catch it before Noah Brown does and get the interception to win the game. Who knows? Yeah, so instead, that's going to be talked about. That's something that's going to be shown, I'm sure, on film by coaches in the NFL for years to come as something to not do. And also, the thing that's gone amiss a little bit is it wasn't just that play. The play before that, the play that the Commanders got the 13 yards and got out of bounds, even on that play, there's been footage that you can see of Tyrique Stevenson even before that play. Distracted, taunting fans, not paying attention to the start of the play. So just inexplicable there, and that doesn't reflect well on him, and it doesn't reflect well on the coaching. And for Matt Eberflus, I do like him. And again, I was really impressed with the Bears defense in the first half and really most of the game. I mean, the Bears defense, obviously, with that score, 18-15 even at the end, that defense for the Bears was the only reason they were even in that game. Outside of that, the Bears got outplayed. But so, yeah, for the defense and Matt Eberflus being a defensive coach, I do give him credit there. But I just, at this point, losing to the Commanders, by all the predictions I did before the season started, predictions I've got for the Bears, even currently looking at their schedule going forward, which, by the way, from week 9 to week 18, the remaining of the schedule, by win percentage, the Bears have the toughest remaining schedule left in the NFL. So for myself and my fellow Bears fans, that doesn't bode well for how things are going to look going forward. It's going to be a very tough stretch. This first 12 weeks of the season for the Bears is the games that they needed to win. And coming into the season, I had actually predicted the Commanders game to be one that the Bears might be able to squeak out. And again, they were one play away, and multiple single plays also that could have won them the game before that as well. Just so many little things that added up to what could have been the outcome I had hoped for the Bears winning this game. But with losing it, though, before that game, had the Bears won against the Commanders, I still had very slim hopes that the Bears would make the wild card and would get in with that number 7 spot. After losing to the Commanders, I think at best the Bears' chances are to absolute best. Still think they could go about 10-7, but that is absolute best. That is if they play surprisingly, insanely well in some of these matchups coming up. But more likely, the Bears are going to end up somewhere between 7-10 and 9-8 at best. And 9-8, as I've said, in the AFC, I think 9-8 gets you into the wild card, maybe even the 6th seed even. But in the NFC, that is not going to cut it. The way I've got things projected, in mid-season, I'm going to do updated predictions, just as we start to get into the point where playoff picture really starts to shape out. I'll do updated predictions, but as of right now, for the NFC playoff picture, I think the wild card teams are going to be stacked. I think to make the wild card in the NFC, you very well may need 10, if not 11 wins just to get into that wild card picture for the NFC. So for the Bears, I just don't see it. Again, even if you get to that 10 win mark, there's a chance you miss. Now, if the Bears do get to 10, it's possible some of those other teams that I think could end up at 11 don't make it there. Maybe the Bears then do get into 10-7, but again, some of those teams I've got, they could also end 10-7. So I think 10-7 is bare minimum for the NFC wildcard race, and I don't really see it happening for the Bears. The more winnable games for the Bears are coming up this next couple weeks. You got on the road against the Cardinals, which still isn't going to be easy. but that's one of the ones that the Bears are going to have if they have any chance. Then they play the Patriots. That's a gotta have it game. Then they're at home against the Packers and the Vikings, on the road against the Lions, 49ers, Vikings, then at home against the Lions again. Then you have the Seahawks on a Thursday night game. That's another one that's going to be a have-to-have-it game for the Bears. And then you're on the road in Lambeau Field for the final week of the season. So, very tough stretch for the rest of the season for the Bears. So, and certainly week 11 on, it's going to be a gauntlet for the Bears. So, and to be where they are right now, unfortunately, down at 4-3, it's going to be tough to get to 10 wins. As I said, you'd have to go 6-4 for the rest of the season, and with that schedule coming up, they'll be lucky to be 500 the rest of the season. So, and even just doing that, even just going 500 the rest of the season, that's just not going to get you into the playoffs. So, or if it does, yeah, you're going to need to go 500 at the bare minimum, and that'll get you to 9-8. Go slightly above it with one extra win somewhere in there, one crazy upset win, you get to 10-7. But that's going to be a huge tough ask. Next Gen Stats has the playoff chances for the Bears now sitting at 19%. So pretty low chances. For the rest of the NFC North, all those teams have higher than 50% chance to make the playoffs right now. So as a Bears fan, I'm not too happy about that loss. That was a gotta-have-it game. Again, I know it was a tough one to have to win, but it was one that, certainly, again, compared to the other games the Bears have coming up, this was one you had to have if you wanted a chance at making the playoffs. And the Bears just weren't able to do it. Again, just questionable play calling and decisions by the coaching staff at multiple points. And then, stuff with Tyrique Stevenson, that kind of stuff, just doesn't speak well to the coaching. And again, for defensive coach in Matt Eberflus, again, a lot of credit to him for the Bears defense looking the way it did for most of the game. But in the late game situations, not good. The offense, not good. Honestly, Caleb Williams is, even for how bad the Bears have been doing on offense, Caleb Williams has shown talent. You can see, watching the games, you can see Caleb Williams' natural talent. You can see his ability there. It's just, there's just the coaching, not only at play calling, but just in general for the Bears and on offense. It's just not there. There's just too many issues going on. And again, Caleb Williams didn't play well either. But if you watched him play, you can see that he's got the talent. And again, this was I would say his worst game of the season. He's had some pretty good games this season. But yeah, just and even with that bad game, no picks, didn't have any turnovers, just had a couple of sacks I didn't like, but otherwise Caleb Williams played okay for what happened. But yeah, just for Matt Eberflus coming into the season, as I said at the end of last season, I wanted Matt Eberflus gone. I wanted the Bears to hire Jim Harbaugh and draft Caleb Williams. They obviously didn't get Jim Harbaugh, and mostly sounds like because they weren't interested in paying the amount that they were going to have to pay to get a coach like Harbaugh. So they stuck with Eberflus, and I was thinking about it earlier today. My standard for Matt Eberflus keeping his job would have to be one of two things. Either this Bears defense needs to finish the season as a top 3 defense in the league. I'm talking, undisputed top 3 defense of the NFL for 2024. They need to either do that, and or the Bears need to make the playoffs, which again, as I already talked about, looks nigh impossible at this point. 19% chance according to Next Gen Stats. And again, I think the Bears are going to end up going as low as 7-10, which is what they were last year. So if that's what they do, and especially if the Bears defense doesn't finish as a top 3 defense, yeah, and again, even if the Bears go 7-10, for example, and the Bears defense is top 3 in the league by the end, at least stats wise, I still don't think that's enough. I still think at that point you fire Matt Eberflus and you find something else. Now again, if the Bears defense is top 3, like actually top 3, not just top 3 in a couple categories, but more like top 10 or lower in others. If it's something like that, no. But and certainly if they play that well and or they make the playoffs, I'll be okay. Again, if they make one or both of those, it'll be a bit tougher. Certainly if they got both, I'll be happy with keeping Eberflus for another year. Part of it for me also is who are the Bears going to, if you do fire Matt Eberflus, the question, of course, is who are you going to get in the 2025 offseason to actually help this team? Obviously, I would hope the Bears go with a offensive coach, but, what offensive candidates are out there, and of the ones that are out there, if you're going to fire Matt Eberflus, kind of want you to go out and swing for the fences. You got to get the best offensive candidate you can get that is out there. But even without that question being answered, as I said, if the Bears defense isn't top 3 and or the Bears make it into the playoffs, I don't see Matt Eberflus keeping his job after the end of this season. I don't think he'll be fired mid-season. The Bears ownership isn't really about doing that. They're not about firing a coach mid-season. And the Bears are playing, especially on defense, are playing really well to the point that certainly don't think it's going to look bad enough for him to be fired mid-season. And especially being that the second half of the season is going to be so many games that they're already not going to be favored in. They're going to be the underdogs in pretty much every game they play going forward the rest of the season. So I don't think that it's going to be to the point where the McCaskey family is going to want to fire him before the end of the season. But by the end of it in January, unless those two requirements have been met and the Bears have made the playoffs or had a top 3 defense, I don't think Matt Eberflus keeps his job. So with that, this video has gone on far longer than I intended. I may even break this up into 2 parts. Bears talk separate from the other video. But if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe, leave a like rating, comment down below what you thought of Week 8, comment what you thought of any particular game. How is your team doing? I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.